All right, I think I'm live, y'all. And today we got a little something for you. It's a conversation about this bill in California that was passed. Um, this basically it's a bill with if basically like from my understanding of it is like if parents at the home, like if a child identifies as a particular gender and parents aren't reaffirming that gender, then that would be considered child abuse, and basically, your child will be taken away from you. But, I think this was shared 9 days ago, this CBS Sacramento.
Brewing tonight over a trio of bills some parents say push a quote transgender agenda. One of the bills would ensure a child's gender identity is included in child custody cases.
CBS 13's Andrew Hodner live at the Capitol breaking down the bill and the backlash.
Yeah, guys, so the bill in question is Assembly Bill 957, which essentially, when a judge is making a determination in the family court system about giving custody to one parent or another, one of the criteria included in the health, safety, and welfare of a child would be a parent's affirmation of a child's chosen identity. That's if this bill was codified into law. Opponents say that if a parent does not affirm their child's identity, they can be charged with child abuse. But the bill's author says that that's a misconception, and this bill is solely about helping marginalized groups.
Thank you.
It was an emotional gathering on the Capitol grounds.
Please, I don't want any parent to feel what I feel every single day of my life.
Groups opposed to Assembly Bill 957 telling CBS 13 they are fighting for parental rights.
AB 957 is a bill that will now elevate not affirming your child's gender identity, whatever gender identity they choose.
Parents told stories of lost custody, citing gender affirmations and identity as a cause.
I will support him in who he is. This is not my issue.
And expressed concern over the bill's supposed scope.
That means judges will have no ability to use their discretion.
Assemblymember Lori Wilson, the author of AB 957, explains that affirmations don't take higher precedent in a judge's determination.
We are giving our judges tools by which to measure health, safety, and welfare.
And plans to address unintended consequences in committee, such as the potential weaponization of kids in heated custody fights.
This is not intended to create a sliding scale for our parents who are affirming their children.
But Wilson stretches that this is not forcing ideology on people.
And so it should be one of the factors, not the factor.
And that no one is under attack.
Oh, there we go. There we go. In it, she said it herself. It's one of many factors, but not the factor. So it's not the primary thing, but it's still a thing nonetheless. So, but it's still one of many things, right? That would be considered child abuse, according to the state, that by not being a gender affirming parent, you in essence are abusing your child. And the irony in it is that by actually affirming your child's gender, if they're saying, or whatever, maybe that you're affirming your child's identity because your child identifies as, a damn willow tree or some shit like that, you have to affirm it. And if you don't, that's child abuse. But by affirming that to your child, you're actually enabling, what could be a potential mental illness. And in my opinion, that's abusing your child. Like, there was who's this? It was Megan Fox, right? she's got 3 boys, and she was dressing them like girls. And I know that, you know, I've never seen this
Robbie
video
Starbuck,
before,
who's a former congressional.
but let's see if she shows a picture.
Just a very weird situation, but
She's dressing up her 3 little boys like
Robbie
girls.
Starbuck.
Uh, yeah, here we go. So these are her boys. I guess she's been doing this for a while because there's more recent pictures. All right, that's her son, in a dress. And maybe this is just her way of virtue signaling, like a lot of these other Hollywood actors like to do, right? Maybe that's just her way of virtue signaling to the woke mob, saying, "Look at how woke I am. Look at how loving I am." The actor previously discussed Noah's choice to wear dresses back in 2019 on The Talk. At the time, she told the host that Noah was really into fashion and added that she often let him pick out his outfits for school. Sometimes he'll dress himself and he likes to wear dresses sometimes. Right. Anyway, I guess,
Robbie Starbuck, who's a
this is a story from I don't know who this guy is, Robbie Starbuck. These are Megan Fox's sons. We used to live in the same gated community and our kids played at the park. I saw 2 of them have a full-on breakdown saying they were forced by their mom to wear girls' clothes as their nanny tried to console them. It's pure child abuse. Pray for them. Yeah. Now, if we're going to take Robbie Starbuck's word at face value, which I'm pretty sure he's got no reason to just, openly try to defame, Megan Fox. I don't think he's just going to try to slander her name for no reason. I mean, he might. There's always the potential. But I believe it. A lot of these actors take, what's her name, Charlize Theron. I can't really pronounce her last name, but I think they do that. They and Dwayne Wade and people like that. I think they do that. They exploit their children for this agenda, for this cause. They do it, I think, for one, as a means to virtue signal, but also for attention. Let's just keep it real. Now, there's another video that I wanted to go over. This was just like a quick run through. I'm actually digressing here, but it's the same woman who gave a talk before, but she's just uh, telling more in depth, the story in which she went through because I think because of this bill.
It has been 3 years and 164 days since I lost
This gender reaffirming bill. So she's just talking about her story.
my daughter, Jaylee. I miss her every single day. Let me tell you how she died. My daughter was murdered by a gender ideology. CPS took my daughter when she was 16 years old. It was held by her public school counselor and LGBTQ group rights and another trans-identified girl. My daughter was taken from her loving home because the state of California claimed I was abusive for not affirming her trans identity. I lost my daughter over a name and a pronouns. Even after promised to call her a male name, it wasn't enough. My daughter was not a boy trapped in a girl's body. She had mental health issues. Against my consent, my daughter was given testosterone instead of therapy. The LGBTQ group used her to raise money for them. Look at the poor reject trans boy, they said. Why are there so many transgender in foster care? Because this state take them from their families, tell them to run, then steal them. Parents are given one option to treat their distressed child, affirm, drug, and remove their healthy body part, or else lose your child. The abuse claim against me was finally dropped, but it was too late. The damage was done. By then, my daughter was in a horrible mental and physical pain. My daughter knelt down in front of a train. She was murdered by gender ideology. I beg you, stop pushing gender ideology. I don't want any parent to feel what I feel every day. Affirmation is not good for the health, safety, and welfare of any child.
Yeah, agreed. It's not. And even I don't believe that this is a movement, that this is a parade that's ever gonna, you know, take a look at this, take a look at this video, take a look at what people are saying on the other side, because this is a marginalized community, right? Um, that constantly puts on this persona that they're constantly being attacked, right? And there's constant oppression left and right, right? And um, they're never going to hear the other side of the argument. They're never going to hear they how they don't want to hear that how flawed their ideology is and how much it could actually be more harmful than it is something to be looked at as something positive. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. It was it also it's a slippery slope, and it just keeps it like the rabbit hole of this whole. How do I say? It's a slippery slope. It started kind of with gay marriage. That's where it started, and from that point on, it started to kind of transform into other things. And then it became about, the pronoun usage. And then there was pronoun added after pronoun, and you had to memorize that. And in their own way, they became this group, this marginalized community, became the very thing that they were fighting so hard against, which is tyranny, which is oppressors, which are bullies, right? And now they're the bullies, but they're the bullies disguised as victims constantly. And they don't understand that little kids have become the victims of their ideology. And like the mother even said it herself. She said, my daughter died from this gender ideology. She needed help. She had gender dysphoria. And instead of getting her the professional help, they gave her testosterone. So, in essence, they augmented, by doing this to her daughter, to the woman's daughter in the video, they augmented, right, her gender dysphoria. It for lack of a better term, they made it worse. They made it worse, fam. They made it worse. And I should go on my Instagram because there's some more stuff. There's some more videos that I saw on there. Uh, but yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's also, let me see. It was I think it was, what was this, in Europe? Trying to remember. I Let me see. No, the video probably is only up on oh, here. Oh, here's the video. I guess it's older than
People in Europe are having a
I thought.
meltdown after a school was having demonstrations to celebrate the LGBTQ community, condemning homophobia and transphobia when hundreds of Muslim students came to counter-protest yelling Allah Akbar. In the city Genk, Belgium, at the Atlas School of Technology, the students were seen spitting on the rainbow flag, throwing bottles, and screaming. The school is now investigating, have condemned the behavior, and looking to punish them. But what do you think? People in Europe are having a meltdown
I'll
after...
tell you what I think. I think that it's always gonna get serious when you have like the Nation of Islam or Muslims or any of that involved versus Christians. I think Christians will have a more peaceful protest, a more peaceful demonstration, whereas, I believe the people of Islam and or Muslims or Islamic people, I believe that they don't play no games. They're not effing around. It's the reason why South Park has made fun of every religion, and then when they wanted to make fun of the Prophet Muhammad, they got bomb threats, right? Because that um religious group of people, they're not playing around. They don't play. And when it comes to that religious group of people getting involved in something, I think things can escalate rather quickly because um they're not going to tolerate no bullshit. Like, I think the worst you'll get from Christians is, us banging you over the top of the head, yelling at you, talking about, and I don't mean physically banging you over the top of the head. I just mean like verbally, as far as like, oh, you're going to hell, right? That's the number one thing you'll hear from a Christian, and I think like there's a huge difference between um I should say these two religious groups. Like, with Christian extremists, I feel like they're more cult-like, right? But with Islamic or Muslim extremists, I feel like they're more along the spectrum of like damn near becoming domestic terrorists or something like that. Because, like I said, they called in South Park talking about, South Park said we couldn't do the episode because we were getting bomb threats. And yet, South Park was what threats did they receive from Christians? What threats did South Park receive from Christians in making fun of Jesus Christ? None, right? Because you see people all the time shit on Christians and shit on Christianity, and they never have to face any kind of serious repercussion ever. And that's why they make a mockery of Christians all day long because they really do believe, that we're pushovers. I've seen, like, for example, I'm gonna what was that video of these guys at the Dodgers game? Uh, yeah, here we go. Dodgers LGBTQ. So these guys, these drag queens, I think they were doing, like, I don't know, something at the Dodgers Stadium or something like that. And I think they had somewhere in their show, they did like what they call a satire, but what I call a full mockery is, I mean, look at this shit. Look at the thumbnail for that. With the fucking devil horns. Come on, man. And what they were doing was they had Jesus on a cross at one show that they were doing. And they were lap dancing on
This
Jesus
controversy,
Christ. Oh, here it is.
Mocking nuns, biblical symbols, and some of the most sacred aspects of Christianity,
Look at this
like
shit.
Jesus' crucifixion. One of those speaking out was Bishop Robert Barron.
For Catholics, it's hard to imagine anything more offensive.
In response, the LA Dodgers rescinded the invitation. Then, they received a backlash from various LGBT groups. And feeling the pressure, the LA Dodgers re-invited them and issued an apology.
The Dodgers are now re-inviting drag...
Wow, I didn't even know all that. Oh, I knew there was some controversy going on about it, but all I known was about that one video, because this one YouTuber, she was interviewing a guy, asking him, like, why are you making a full mockery out of Christianity? Oh, it's not a mockery, it's a satire. Oh, that's not a mockery? You lap dancing on the crucifixion of Jesus is not a mockery?
Group Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence to its Pride Night next month.
The Sisters of Perpetual
Indulgence. I couldn't remember their damn name. Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Come on,
Indulgence
guys.
getting more support than they ever imagined.
They also announced that they would be giving the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence a special Community Hero Award.
The LA Dodgers are honoring a group called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
I'm just not
AKA, I forever want to revel in my sin.
Going to get into the middle of...
With the announcement of their re-invitation and upcoming award, there was once again a backlash from those who call them a hate group.
What the hell is
Re-invited
this?
a drag group known for mocking Christians and nuns.
But this time, the LA Dodgers were not moving.
No guilt, no shame!
One baseball player who spoke out strongly was Trevor Williams of the Washington Nationals. He took to Twitter to condemn the LA Dodgers' decision to honor the group that he says is deeply offensive to his faith. His statement quickly went viral.
And Trevor Williams joined that as well, pitcher for the Nats.
Trevor Williams.
I hope that Trevor Williams is ready for the backlash.
I mean, that is a courageous statement by Trevor Williams.
And now, for the first time, he sits down for an on-camera interview to explain how he believes they are making a mockery of his faith and why they should not be awarded. Trevor Williams, great to meet you, and thank you so much for doing this interview.
Good meeting you as well. Thank you.
Your tweet that went viral all over the world, almost 20 million views. It's a long statement, but I'll just read a short piece from it now. You said, as a devout Catholic, I am deeply troubled by the Dodgers' decision to re-invite and honour the group, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, at their Pride Night. To invite and honour a group that makes a blatant and deeply offensive mockery of my religion, and the religion of over 4 million people in the Los Angeles County alone, undermines the values of respect and inclusivity that should be upheld by any organisation. And like I said, that's been read 19 million. I hate...
Look at this. These are the same people that demand love and tolerance from you. And look at this. Why? But even more so, why Christianity? Out of all religions to make a satire out of course, people feel the most comfortable, especially this community, of making a mockery, or in their words, a satire of Jesus Christ. They feel very comfortable doing that. They would never do this. They would never do this shit with the Prophet Muhammad, with Buddha, with Krishna. But they always feel perfectly comfortable doing this bullshit with Jesus Christ. And that just goes to show you, right, that innately, even when you're doing evil, even when you're doing the devil's work, you know who the fucking truth is. You know who is the only righteous man to ever walk the planet of the earth is. If you're choosing him to make a mockery of. Because this is reveling in evil. Look at this. I do not find the humor in this. This is weird. This is evil and it's weird. And on top of that, they just want you to shut up and put up. If I speak against this, even though they're shitting on my religion, I'm AKA a homophobe. Bullshit. I'd be a homophobe for being offended of their mockery. And yet, I'm supposed to be tolerant. They expect tolerance from everyone. Love and tolerance. That's not love. That picture isn't any kind of veneration toward Christ. Them mocking, them lap dancing on Jesus' crucifixion isn't veneration. You know, and on top of that, you know, you got stuff like this. I mean, this is old news, but this is where we're headed.
Take charge of your drive behind the wheel of a 2023 EV6. The EV6 is a smart and spacious, all
Factor Uncensored. Don't we find them? We find these topics for you that will blow your mind. Now, the LGBTQ community is saying hell to the nasty no, as much as inclusivity as they have embraced and expanded over the years. They say they will never accept pedophilia. Adults who want to have or are attracted to children. This comes after a group known as MAPS. MAPS is looking for a home there. They want to add their letters, MAPS, M-A-P-S, to LGBTQ. MAPS stands for Minor Attracted People. Minor Attracted, adults attracted to children. We can't make it up. And if you think that's just a rebrand for a pedophile, you're not alone. These people say they aren't pedophiles because they don't act on their attraction. Either way, members of the LGBTQ community say there is no way in hell they will allow them to join their ranks.
Lady McCown, let's just get right down to it. What kind of crazy is this that we're talking about? Individuals who call themselves minor attracted persons, now they want to be included in the LGBTQ crowd. It's just mind-blowing. We don't want them.
Yeah. This is a year ago. They are already included. Because they're putting themselves in situations where they're around kids, where they can teach their ideology to the kids, where they can indoctrinate the kids with their ideology. You have teachers in schools, so they've infiltrated the school system. You have them in the libraries reading these LGBTQ genre-related books to the children. So they've infiltrated different professions and different systems that will give them access to children. And it's to the point where even parents are bringing their children to bars in the morning. The bars will open up during the day so that they can watch other drags do a drag show. And we all know what that performance looks like, right? Degenerate. If you haven't seen it, you should take a look. Because it's very promiscuous in nature, and I think it's inappropriate for children. So how does promiscuity become something that's synonymous with love and fucking tolerance? You tell me that. And now you've got this lady going, no, we would never. It's not up to you. It's not up to her. She is not the president of the LGBTQ crowd or people. They are going to take this shit wherever they decide they want to take this shit. And what they're going to end up doing, in my opinion, is the LGBTQ is going to cause further and further divide, even amongst themselves. Because now we have things like LGBTQ against groomers. Because even people who are homosexual are seeing what the movement has become and saying, I'm not fucking for it. But it's too late.
Even to entertain it.
It's too late. We've already opened up Pandora's box. The second we allowed for gay marriage, we opened up Pandora's box, and we didn't know it. Why? Because we did not listen to what it says in the Bible. If I'm being 100% honest here, we did not listen to God and what He says about marriage. And that union and that marriage should be between a man and a woman and a woman. Now, I'm not saying that you can't live your life however you fucking want. Why? Because God gave us free choice. If you want to live in your sin, live in it. But the only way you're getting to heaven is if you rebuke your sin, is if you repent. So you have the free choice. The free choice is there to live like a degenerate, to live in a manner that is separate from God. You can do that. You have that fucking choice. But you don't get the last call. That's the thing most people don't realize, is you don't get the last call on whether you get to go to heaven or hell. So you can choose what kind of life you want to live, if you want to live a wholesome life or the life of a degenerate. But that the consequence for choosing one or the other means you either go to hell or to heaven. And when that becomes clear, it should also become clear the path you should take. Because nobody wants to burn for a fucking eternity. I know I don't. This life is very short-lived. So you can rebuke your sin and continue to live in it, but can also continue to do your best to be reluctant in committing the sin again and again and again and again. And allow yourself to be submissive to God's will. You know, or you just do the complete opposite, like a lot of people are doing in the world today, and completely reveling in their sin. Reveling in it. Pride was one of the 7 deadly sins. Pride before the fall. Pride was one of the 7 deadly sins, and now we have a whole month dedicated to it. Can Adultery Month be next? Can Adultery Month be after Pride Month? Are we going to start celebrating adultery the same way we celebrate Pride? Are we going to start celebrating gluttony the same way we celebrate Pride? Yeah, how about a month to celebrate all of the 7 deadly sins? That's where we're headed. And pride comes first. Pride comes before the fall.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's just a way for them to try to take the stigma off of pedophilia, and as a part of the LGBT community, I don't want them. My friends don't want them. Our Pride family does not want them. This is just, it's just a distraction. I have never heard a single queer person even consider adding this to our community. Like, this is just craziness. This is not, I don't even know. I think it was the professor that got fired from her university, right? For even writing a paper about this. What was it? I think his name, I think it's they. Their name was Alan Walker. They pretty much said that.
Look, she couldn't even get it right. They. Because, like, come on. She's trying to go about the correct pronouns, and she messing this shit up herself. That's how confusing it is even for them. That's ridiculous, bruh. Like, come on now.
Minor attracted person should take the place of the word pedophilia. And honestly, it's kind of crazy. As a queer person myself, with kids who are queer as well, we don't want them. We don't want them. It's pedophilia. We don't want the stigma taken off of pedophilia.
There is one line in this country that no one will cross, and that is that line.
Yes, exactly.
At least we have that. You know what I mean?
Now, this is, unfortunately, this is a religious standpoint as well. So there are a lot of, let's just be honest, Christian hate groups that make all of these pamphlets saying that all of these gay people are trying to add the pedophiles to the gay community. We are not. I've been part of Pride. I am a queer person. I'm pansexual and non-binary. So therefore, we don't want them. So this idea and this topic that keeps coming up in all these religious and...
You've already opened up Pandora's box. Is what the Christian hate groups talking about exactly what's going on. Because your small clique of friends aren't with the idea. A majority of your community may very well be, and it seems so, because if they weren't, then they wouldn't be trying to push this pronoun and these pronouns and their entire ideology onto kids. Gender reaffirming, mutilating your body. For a boy, it's chopping off his wee-wee. For a girl, it's chopping off her breasts. I mean, obviously, your movement in itself, even from a year ago, has been hijacked by extremists, radicals, people who are mentally ill, people experiencing gender dysphoria, people who are on the spectrum, who are slightly autistic. These are the forerunners of the community. And it's not about Christian hate. Handing out pamphlets. We've been warning y'all. We've been warning everybody. And look what it's come to now. To the point where now it's illegal. It's considered child abuse if I do not affirm my child's gender or your child's gender. In the state of California, was it Bill 957 or something like that? Come on now. It's a slippery slope. And you know she's nutty because she's not able to see that. It's just Christian hate. It's not about hate. It's about people can see how this ideology can be a slippery slope. People can see what it can potentially become down the line if you continue along the lines of your thinking, of your kind of thinking, because your thinking isn't rooted in reality. She said pansexual and non-binary. What even is that? And if they try to explain it to you, either or, the reality is that you're either male or female. All this other shit is like, it's made up. They're making it up as they go along. I do not see how people can see the danger in that. How they cannot see the danger in that. I cannot understand how these people cannot see the danger in an ideology that's not rooted in truth. Scientific truth, not biblical truth, just rudimentary shit that everybody should fucking know. Basic fucking facts. It's not fucking rocket science. And they'll always ask, are you a biologist? You need to seriously, maybe these people need to take a biology class. And even that wouldn't do any good, because they're too far gone. You can see it in their face.
And like red communities, right? We don't want them. We don't know even where that came from. And
for
it's
those,
kind of,
Lady McCallum, who don't quite understand minor attracted persons, break that down. Give us clearly what you know this to be.
Okay, so it's basically pedophiles that want the stigma of pedophilia taken off of them so that they can be called minor attracted persons. It's just a way for them to try to make it seem less scary and like innocuous, right? They want to sound like they're not threatening. I'm sorry, but you're a pedophile. If you're a pedophile, I want you stigmatized. I want to know who you are. I want to know where you are. I don't care if you want to call yourself a map. That's ridiculous. As a queer person, we want no part of you. So that whole thought process is mind-blowing to me. I understand the psychology behind pedophilia. I understand it. I've read up on it, like all of that stuff. I get it, because there are a lot of pedophiles who are in therapy and are trying to like help themselves so that they don't become monsters. I appreciate that. If you are attracted to minors, go get therapy, go get help, okay? But don't pull this crap where you want to act like you want to join the queer community, because we don't want you.
Yeah, that's like trying to put lipstick on a pig.
Exactly.
Is anyone out there, anywhere, even entertaining this ridiculous idea?
Absolutely not, because we have talked about this before. Because for some reason, like I said, especially during Pride Month, right? There's so many of these flyers or so many of these pamphlets that, like I said, the religious zealots will put.
If no one was entertaining this fucking idea, there wouldn't be a flag for it. There's an actual flag for maps. There's an actual flag. They have their own flag. Guys, do minor attracted persons use a map's pride flag to represent themselves? Absolutely. Is this it? Wow. No, I want to see where the image is. Yeah, I think that person was advocating for maps at one point, trying to they have an anti-map flag and then a map flag. Oh, here we go. Look at this. This is their flag right here, I believe. Jesus. They have their own flag. So how is this not being entertained? There was a woman, I swear to God, like 7, 8 years ago, doing a fucking TED Talk about maps and how pedophiles have been stigmatized by being called pedophiles, and that instead we should call them minor attracted people. That's what was said. In fact, listen, I don't even want to listen to this lady anymore. There was a video of a teacher, and this is an old video as well. Yes, this is the video right here.
Depth and perspective on the Franklin High School teacher who was under fire for making controversial comments about pedophilia in a classroom. The El Paso School District Board of Trustees voted today to unanimously begin the termination process of English teacher Amber Parker. ABC 7's Sarah Correa joins us live with the students' reactions and what could be next for the teacher. Sarah.
Stephanie, the firing comes days after a video recorded by a student went viral last week. The teacher can be heard saying pedophiles should be called MAPs, or minor attracted persons. Take a look.
Stop calling them that. You're not allowed to label people like that.
What?
Stop it, Diego.
Yeah, no,
We're not going to call them that. We're going to call them MAPs. No. Minor attracted persons.
No.
So don't judge people just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old.
That's the full.
Don't judge people just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old. Are you out of your bloody mind? And here, if you look at the last video, that lady was saying, no, nobody's entertaining that idea. Okay, and that was said a year ago. This came out 9 months ago. But no one's echoing those sentiments, though, right?
Stop calling them that. You're not allowed to label people like that.
What?
Stop calling a pedophile. Stop it. We're going to call them MAPs. We're going to rebrand them.
Diego.
Yeah, no,
we're not going to call them that.
And this is a teacher. And this is what I mean about infiltrating the school system, infiltrating professions that give you access to kids, where now these ideologies can be spread, proliferated, and taint the minds of the youth. Because what if this guy who said that was completely impressionable? And by you suggesting this to a very impressionable mind, a very young, impressionable mind, now he grows up believing just because I'm attracted to somebody 10 years younger than me doesn't make me a pedophile. I'm technically a MAP. Do you know the harm that could potentially impact not just that individual, but all the other individuals in that class, or who they may harm if they were to actually believe the nonsense that's being spewed out of the mouth of this teacher? And these are the ideologies that are coming from the far left. These are the ideologies that are coming from the LGBTQ community. This is the type of nonsense that's being spread. How could you not call it demonic? I'd be looking for the nearest Christian, because he'd probably know where I could get the nearest exorcist. Because this is pure evil, brother.
We're going to call them MAPs. No. Minor attracted persons.
No.
So don't judge people just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old.
Boom. What a great way to try to normalize it. Don't judge people because they don't want to have sex with a 5-year-old. Ye be judged by me if that's what you want to do. I don't give a fuck. You can call me a hateful fucking person. You can call me a bigot. You can call me a transphobe. You can call me anti-whatever. You can call me a fascist. You just call me a Nazi. I will never, ever stand for what she is being said here, what I'm reading here. I will never stand for anybody who wants to have sex with a 5-year-old. That's ridiculous. And these people are stretching, are what you call it, what do you call it? They're moving the boundaries. They continue to try and move the bar and set the bar high. I don't know rather to say higher or lower each time, because I want to say lower because it just becomes more and more degenerate, but they keep moving the bar on what's socially acceptable in a way, and they try to do it in a way where, oh, we're just challenging the status quo because, you know, it's hip and it's like a hipster thing to do, to, you know, challenge the status quo, like you're the rebels in society who are fighting for change. But it's bullshit. It's an evil change, because there's different types of changes. You can transform into something beautiful, and you can transform into something entirely wicked, and this is a transformation into debauchery and wickedness if this is going to be a norm, like they would have it so. Because obviously, why would you say this? First of all, I could understand if she said this amongst close friends, and she was rightfully terminated, because you don't say this type of stuff in a class setting. I should be really questioning, what kind of person is she? What kind of friends does she have? If you're going to be thinking along this line and say what you're going to say and think that's okay. And this is when I saw years ago a TED talk of a woman giving a TED talk about maps. And I think they took it off YouTube. And that for me was when I saw, okay, I'm seeing where this is all headed, and it looks like it's headed there, because nothing in what's really being said now is rooted in fact. In fact, it's rooted in scientific fallacy. And I've said that before in a prior live, because this is ridiculous. Let's see what the kids have to say.
High school students.
I think, yes, they should fire her, but all the hate that she's getting, I feel bad for her at the same time, because it ruined her career.
I think it was just like taken out of context. Like it was just like a quick 20-second video. Like you can't get much from that.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think she should get fired. I know her personally, so she's a really good teacher. I had her, and I know how she is, so I don't think she meant it like that.
The president of the El Paso American Federation of Teachers had this warning for his members.
Act like you're being recorded in class. Just assume somebody is recording you in class. That's just the way things are these days.
Parker has 20 days to appeal the board's decision. The Texas Education Agency's Division of Hearing and Appeals would review the petition. The Education Commissioner will decide the teacher's fate after getting a recommendation from a group of lawyers. It's a process similar to a trial without a jury, with witnesses possibly testifying and evidence being presented.
Think before you speak. And again, remember, somebody's recording you. Do you really want that out on social media world?
Yeah. Edom said it. And those little girls, they don't know what the fuck. I knew her personally. I know her personally, and I didn't think she meant it like that. What other way did she freaking mean it? One girl said it was taken out of context. Huh? She straight up said, don't judge somebody just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old. What? There's no way you could take that shit out of context. Even somebody said here it was like taken out of context. She shouldn't like have her life ruined. God, I hope none of them reproduced. Yeah. I mean, her life's not ruined. Her life's not ruined because she'll work somewhere where there's a bunch of people who think just like her. Because they've infiltrated, you know, systems and professions that give them access to kids. And the world seems pretty accepting. I mean, now there's some pushback, but the world for a while had seemed very, very accepting of everything that's being pushed and shoved down our throats from the far left, from that radicalized group of individuals. It's just, that's crazy to me. It's crazy that they even have their own flag. Like, let's see if the TED Talk is still here. I don't think this is it. Is this it? Is that the woman? Oh, that doesn't look like her. Oh. There was a guy. I think this is the guy right here. This is the guy who I believe.
For just $67, you can make as many videos as you want, and you never need to pick up a camera or use any fancy...
Oh, they're just trying to normalize pedophiles now.
Hi folks, my name is Miranda. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and sex therapist. And today I want to talk about minor attracted persons. And I want to talk about minor attracted persons because they are probably the most vilified population of folks in our culture. And most...
Did y'all hear that? The most vilified. The most vilified. That's what she said. Let me make this smaller. I don't know if y'all able to see the screen. Alright, that's crazy. All of a sudden, pedophiles are now the victims instead of the predators. By saying they're the most vilified, you're basically saying that these poor pedophiles out here. They're the victims. Nobody understands them. They're marginalized too. Get the fuck out of here. You're out of your fucking mind.
Folks are making incorrect assumptions about them without actually knowing much about them. And those assumptions create harm for an already marginalized population. You may have noticed that I'm using the term minor attracted persons, sometimes abbreviated to MAPS, instead of the more commonly used term pedophile. And I'm doing this because the term pedophile...
Wait a damn second. What is that little demon creature behind her, first of all?
Has moved from being a diagnostic label to being a judgmental, hurtful insult that we hurl at people in order to harm them or slander them. I also prefer person-first language that recognizes that any label we might apply to a person is...
So now, by calling them a pedophile, that would be considered harmful language. Hey, Call a spade a fucking spade. Alright? Call a spade a fucking spade. If it hissed like a snake and it looked like a snake, it's a fucking snake. Don't try to rebrand it and say, oh no, it's really just a lizard without legs. It's a snake. Come on, man. This is some bullshit.
Is only part of who they are and doesn't represent everything that they are. We are all people first with many different facets or parts of ourselves. And this includes folks who are attracted to minors.
We're going to call them that. We're going to call them Matt.
They're trying to make it seem as though pedophilia is, instead of it being like some kind of, mental illness that someone have, instead of it being a mental illness, pedophilia is a sexual orientation. That's how they're justifying this. That's how they're wrapping it. That's how they're wrapping this. That pedophilia is merely a sexual orientation, and these people have just gotten a bad rap for years because they've been attracted to kids, and they've been very marginalized, and people have never really understood them, and there's so much more to them. They're like, almost like she wants to say they're beautiful people. We just don't see how beautiful they are, because all we see is the fact that they're attracted to kids. Yeah, that'd be the one motherfucking thing that sticks out. I don't give a fuck how fucking great somebody is. It's like a priest or a pastor, right? Where, he does all these great things for his community. He spreads the word of God. People love his sermons. And then we come to find out that he's molesting little boys in the church. He gets condemned by Christians, and rightfully so. Because no matter how much good he's done, that one fucking ugly bad thing, which he is and which he does, is highly looked down upon in society. Is highly looked down upon by God himself, of course, but it's highly looked down upon in society. As it should. Because it's dead fucking wrong. Because we're trying to maintain the innocence and the purity of a child for as long as we possibly can. And people like that taint a child who's supposed to live a pure life. They're not supposed to know anything about sex, which is what this community constantly tries to introduce children to. Come on now. Don't try to normalize this and repackage it as something that it really isn't. To try and confuse people, to try and confuse the youth. And this is the ideology that's being spread. This is where we're going. This is where we're headed.
No. Minor attracted persons. No. So don't judge people just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old.
So this right here is the pedo flag. The technical term of this flag is MAP, which stands for Minor Attracted Persons. Now, the fact that this flag even exists is disgusting in itself, but once I actually look at this flag and look at the colors, it disgusts me even more. So here's a breakdown of what the colors mean on the flag. The top 2 stripes are blue to represent attraction to young boys. The bottom 2 stripes are pink to represent attraction to young girls.
TikTok made me do it. If you use TikTok, you might have seen videos like these recently claiming that the combination of L-tyrosine.
The inner yellow stripes are to represent childhood and general attraction to minors regardless of their gender. And the middle stripe is white to represent innocence and unwillingness to offend. How disgusting. A pedophilia pride flag.
Do you think a 12-year-old should be able to consent to sex with an adult?
I think that different people mature at different rates. Everyone would agree with that.
Let's ask that question again, though.
Okay.
If I may.
Absolutely.
Do you think any 12-year-old can consent to sex with an adult?
It doesn't sound good, but a mature adult that understands the concept of consent. Why should we limit someone by their age?
If you think a 12-year-old can consent to sex with an adult, that's horrid. That's what we call rape.
Wow.
Normalizing minor attracted persons. Now, there comes a point where you realise, as I've done.
Yeah, I hear you, boss. But this is the Silver Fox show right now. Yeah, listen, this fucking guy right here, he spoke as if he was a fucking philosopher. Like, as if he was saying something really fucking profound. And we just really had to listen deep to catch on.
Okay.
If I may.
Absolutely.
Do you think any 12-year-old can consent to sex with an adult?
It doesn't sound good, but a mature adult that understands the concept of consent. Why?
A mature adult that understands the concept of consent.
Why should we limit someone by their age?
Why should we limit someone by their age? Look at him. Look at this stupid, smug grin on this cocksucker's face as he says that. This motherfucker thinks he's like the new LGBTQ Socrates or some shit. The way he why should we limit someone by their age? I swear these people are lacking brain cells. They're lacking brain cells. Completely. I mean, why? Why? You know, but listen. I just don't know. I just don't know. I do not know what else to say about, you know, the content that's covered. It's just, it's not looking good. You know, and that's why I'm seeing a lot of, you know, a lot of pushback, because a lot of this is being forced on society. And the reason we're seeing so much pushback on the LGBTQ community now is because a lot of this is being pushed onto kids, onto people's children. And once you start messing with people's kids, once you start really messing with people's kids, it's pretty much kind of game over from that point. And I think people were okay, I think, for the most part, with like the pronouns and stuff like that. Yeah, they might have been annoyed with it, but I think once you got up to the kids, that's when everything kind of went awry, right? That's where we see a lot of the pushback happening. Wow. Just crazy. Just crazy. But I'm gonna end my live with one of my favorite tracks. Silver Fox. Close your eyes. Close your eyes, so I can see. Close your eyes, so I can see. So I can see. So I can see. So I can see. So close your eyes. Close your eyes. Shut open till you're mesmerized. Memorize, incentivize. The size of what I crystallize. Will crystallize, I exercise whatever I'm gonna demonize and see the wise. Wisdom on the other side. Hate is getting circumcised. Body that I customize, internalize. Fire in the burning skies. Life is where we learn to die. Strife is when we getting by, getting high. But at least I get to try. But at least I get to why. The police, they get to lie. The streets, no peace, they cry. With the beef, they can't apply. The heat gon' hit your lie. But at least we get to fly. No bigness in my eye.
I teach this to my guys, like sweetness in my pie. Complete this on the slide, the meekness going dry. But I close my eyes, close my eyes, so I can see, so I can see.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it, man. You know, hopefully, eventually, people can start to wake up and see what the fuck is really going on, and see, you know, that I'm trying to find a way to say it, but it's like the best way I can say it is like the devil is in plain sight, right in front of you, and for most people, they're not even aware he's there, and you can tell when a movement is backed by evil. It gives off a certain vibe, it gives off a certain energy. And it typically follows down a path of degeneracy. And if you're not able to see that, then you're too far gone. You know? You need Jesus. But you seriously need Jesus. Everybody seriously needs Jesus. But that's it for today's live. Thank you for tuning in. It's the Silver